Speaking of gross,
moving on.
Speaking of gross capitalism, Ian.
Let's talk a little bit about the Atari VCS. We were just on here last week. People were like, "Oh, there's no updates for the VCS. Oh my God, they're gonna." Well, don't worry.
We got an update.
They've got updates for you today.
Oh boy, is there updates!
The news is great. Hold on. Let me just check notes. Hold on. Never mind. Rob Wyatt, the architect of the Atari VCS, and basically the only guy who apparently had any idea as to what was going on, quit as of October 4th. Now there's your update, huh? We showed you.
Well, I was going to say the official Atari update on Medium.com.
Oh, we can get there.
Atari VCS plastics, thermals, and internals. A peek inside the engineering lab factory and the Atari VCS itself, along with some hints of what's next. So Atari on October 7th, yesterday when we're recording this, came out with their production update that they're supposed to come out with weeks ago during the summer, or at least tell people it was coming. See, if you're smart with PR, you'd say, okay, we don't have it right now, but it's coming at least, the update. So talking about going from prototype to production, they show off the PCB board.
Which is mostly blank.
Thankfully, it's not a capture device, at least. At least it's not a capture card.
It's a real board that's doing not much of anything right now.
They said it's an AMD Ryzen APU, 2 USB 3.0 ports, an HDMI port. I don't know if this is off the shelf or not. I'm not an expert on what these boards look like.
No, I believe it said it was at least partially designed by the architect who's no longer there.
Okay, that's great. So they show off the board. They show off some hardware development slides, what have you, the PCB and how it looks like, and they show it looks like the cobbled together in early production pieces to put together. Ian, you don't get the individual ribs that you could put your penis on, but it's one piece. I don't think people care as much about that, about the architecture. And then they talk about the tooling and molding and things that we don't have to know about as consumers. We really don't have to know about it.
No.
I don't have to tell you about how a certain Super Nintendo guidebook's being produced. As long as it gets produced and its quality, you shouldn't care.
I'm just I want to make a quick statement real quick. There seems to be a thing that happens with these new consoles, and it's, we don't have anything to show. Let's talk about the case and maybe some colors.
Wow, I don't see that happen with another one either.
Chameleon did it. Intellivision's doing it. The Atari VCS is doing it. Every little Johnny come fucking lately on Indiegogo with no prototype or on Facebook is like, look, instead of showing you anything real and cool, here's this silver Genesis case we're going to put it in.
Instead of showing you software or user interface.
This is not news. This is what you all decided on way back when. You've changed things a few times, but the case was the only thing you really came to us with at the beginning, and now you have a blank board that you can put in there. And you know what it does when you turn it on? Fuck all. It looks like a fucking computer screen, because that's all it is. And they try to spin this. Oh my fuck, they tried to spin this. Oh my god, they tried to spin it by focusing on the sandbox mode.
Which means that it's nothing. The sandbox mode means it's nothing.
It's a tiny Linux. No, here's what you have. They've successfully taken a board with like nothing on it and turned it into a tiny Linux computer in the case that you know and love, and all they're going to show you in painstaking detail how that case is put together, because that's what you care about.
Do you know why they call it sandbox? So when you're a kid, a sandbox has nothing in it but sand and nothing's moving. You have to create your own fun.
You do everything.
You got to create your own environment. That's fine. That's fine when it's literally a sandbox, but when it's a video game console, you expect some shit done for you so you can have fun with it and play with it.
Because when people initially backed this, it wasn't for a sandbox. Anyone could just... It was for an Atari console, and now they've really taken this we've got fucking nothing thing, and they've tried so hard to spin it. Well, look at with the Atari VCS, you can do whatever the fuck you want. I can do whatever the fuck I want with the computer I'm looking at right now, and I don't have to spend $250 goddamn dollars on it.
Do you imagine if a real video game company like Nintendo did an update? Just imagine. Nintendo did a Nintendo Direct. not showing off software or controller features. They brought you inside the manufacturing facility and showed you the molds of the Switch.
People would be
like, what the
livid.
They'd be like, what the fuck are you doing, Nintendo? This is something we shouldn't have to be worried about. We want to see what we're going to do with the console, not the people that are fastened together with screws and glue.
But the true believers are rubbing this all over their fucking crotch like it's going to be some sort of progress. Or at least that's what Atari VCS is hoping that
You don't want the curtain pulled back. You don't want to see what's happening until it's in your hands. This gives me, like, I'd be worrying more seeing this.
All right, the first thing we'll talk about is the photo of the PCB board we shared last time and have included again here. That view is on top of the Atari VCS circuit board. You should be able to quickly and easily spot the AMD Ryzen APU. Oh, that's all I needed to see, folks. We've got a system. This thing's going to be great. Along with 2 USB 3.0 ports, fucking fancy, 1 HDMI port, and 1 power connector that'll be accessible from the back of the machine. Fucking important to know. God, I'm so glad I know that. But you've already made that a talking point before. You mentioned that the last time when you talked about changing the casing. They were like, oh, you can access stuff from the back now. I don't fucking care. But you can access my dick from the back.
What? I guess if you... Anyway, there's twin 4 gig RAM sticks on there on the board's belly, which can be upgraded. They're already talking about upgrading your video game console. They're already talking about you being able to upgrade it.
No one gives a fuck about the board anymore. We want to see something.
They're officially, when they're already saying you can upgrade for more RAM, this is a computer now. This is no longer a video game console.
Yeah.
It's just this is a regular old computer now.
The thermal, okay, blah, 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 blah. Got a whole fucking paragraph on the thermal solution telling me which, they even tell you which direction they're going to blow the air away.
Okay, great. Retail launch 2020. We'll see about that. So now we're going to go to our friends at the Register and cheeky Kieran McCarthy.
Hold on a second here.
You're not done?
No, I'm not done.
I want to.
Just give me 1 second here.
Where is it?
They mentioned something about Power A hard at work making those controllers. I don't know why they want people to Power A controller review.
Why is that not a good
They're
controller?
awful. They're fucking awful controllers. 1 star. Power A enhanced Xbox One controller. Full review. 1 star. The Nintendo controllers that they make, which, by the way, the Atari VCS controller looks almost exactly like it, they break in like 2 months. Hands down. Yes, they're awful. They're absolutely fucking miserable.
The Xbox One controller, in their defense, is 3.5 stars, but 24% of the reviews are 1 star for the Xbox One controller on Amazon.
Tom's got, okay, yeah, they're awful controllers. So, I mean, I don't know why you want to pick that out.
We can't bank on the quality of that, is what you're saying.
Why are you announcing Power A? Okay. People know it's garbage.
So, okay, let's talk about Kieran McCarthy's article a little more in depth. It's called Game Over. Atari VCS architect quits project, claims he has been paid for 6 months. Retro console a mess, may never launch. Sources allege. Kieran's got the sources. I'm not saying it's the architect who hasn't been paid, but, it's not good when you don't have a main architect on your project anymore. So, but there's more things in here. Okay, we alluded to this last week because someone was questioning on the Reddit, asking, is this guy still on the project? And they're like, well, he's working on lots of stuff. He ain't on the project anymore.
Nope.
He's gone.
Nope.
And what's disheartening is that you can't pay him when you raised over $3 million frickin' dollars. You can't pay the man.
Yeah, and so basically he was working on the boards and stuff through his company Tin Giant, and added, as a small company, we have been lucky to survive this long. So it's not like they were just fucking over an employee. They're fucking over, which would be bad enough. They're fucking over an entire company.
Sure.
I mean, there's multiple people's livelihoods at stake.
Does this sound familiar with another past console where you got rid of a main architect that you should have kept on?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. It is unclear. This is Kieran writing. It's unclear whether Atari will be able to complete its beleaguered, I love that word, beleaguered project without Wyatt. It only received a prototype motherboard last month, and Wyatt and his team were in the middle of debugging it. They were in the middle of debugging it before deciding to draw stumps and quit.
So you have a half debugged board and a case. and nothing else.
The task of finalizing the hardware will likely fall to Surface Inc., another company that Atari has contracted to complete the console. Surface Inc. has not responded to multiple requests for comment. I was hoping to see the project through to the end, and that it wouldn't come to this, but I have little choice other than to pursue other opportunities because he ain't getting paid.
Yeah, 6 months without money. Go.
Sue him. He denied the decision to walk at anything to do with him forming another company, The Last Game Board, to develop a tabletop video games system. Okay. The claim of lack of payment echoes another dispute involving Atari. In July 2018, the Trouble Biz was sued by the man who first proposed the Atari VCS as a modern console of the classic 2600. Okay, then. And I keep getting junk phone calls. Maybe it's the Chinese already heard us discuss the political stuff before. Okay, they're talking about money. Atari is this is good reporting from Kieran. Atari is not in good financial shape. The France-based outfit only has 3 employees. Wow, I thought maybe they had 5 or 6 or 7. They only have 3. It's literally just people that own the rights to the name.
Yep.
This is not Atari. This is not Atari this isn't Nolan Bushnell and friends making Pong machines.
I don't know what these people think, but there's no production line. There's no corporate headquarters.
They're renting an office somewhere even, maybe. That's all they're doing. Okay, the France-based outfit only has 3 employees, made a loss of $2.75 million in each of the past 2 years on revenue. How the fuck do you do that when you're licensing the games out? Most of it from licensing the Atari names and games. How are you losing money? The company claims to have almost $6 million available in cash and cash equivalents, although most of that was the result of a stock issue in 2018. Who the hell is buying Atari stock? Who is dumb enough to do that? Its CEO, Fred Chenet, the one that was on the news, doing that awkward interview, was paid $1.1 million a year in compensation. So this guy,
you are all funding a fraudster,
allegedly. If this doesn't come out, Ian, to protect us.
No, I'm just saying, I mean, sure.
I will say this: it's fiscally irresponsible to have a company losing that much money, to be having an Indiegogo where you took in over $3 million on a console that hasn't come out yet,
and paying yourself $1 million.
$1 million while the company's taking losses. How is the company taking losses like this? When you can just make money just giving the license out to people to make your games and make your Atari speaker hats and Atari watches. How the hell are you losing money? You shouldn't be running a company. You shouldn't be CEO.
Fucking hubris.
There's only 3 people though, so he is the company in essence. Wow, I didn't know that. If this information was out before, would those people have given $3 million to this project? They shouldn't, in good faith.
Knowing that he was going to keep 1/3 of it.
Well, 1/3 a year in compensation.
You fucking scum.
Wow. And not paying the lead architect. I don't want to be looked at as frauds for reporting on this stuff, that we're reporting on these consoles that don't exist and potentially bad things happening, but it's bad, Ian. This is bad.
I'd be cool if Fred offered to come down in his Lamborghini and give me a ride around, but...
If you ride around, would that make you look a little more positive on the outlook on this?
Yeah, you might make me look like a fucking fanboy. Anyways, yeah, I think this is going to... as we're sitting here talking, I feel like it's going to spiral out of control very quickly. I have a feeling if this place is gone, who knows what Surface Inc. and... what was his place called? Tin Giant? Tin Giant. Who knows if they were in conversation with each other, but if, anything with Surface Inc. hasn't, if they haven't been getting paid and they look at this Tin Giant thing and see Tin Giant gone, I wouldn't be surprised to see Surface Inc. gone in a week. I mean, I have a feeling that's a pretty big...
We'll give it a month.
I'm just saying that's...
Can you pay us too? Can you pay us? Prepay us? Can you prepay us?
It just seems like that's a pretty big... For what stability this thing had, now it's very rocky in public, and I think it's going to snowball.
And again, this goes back to the Indiegogo, where you don't need a real prototype. If this is actually the first time we're actually seeing a prototype, what the fuck was in the Indiegogo video? What was in that video? And that's why
they just got it this month. What the fuck were the past 3 years about?
And I don't want to beat it to death about the people that appear in that video. The people say, "Oh, I remember." When you participate in that sort of thing, you got to know that what you're playing isn't a real console at that point, or what is it? Or ask the questions. You're going to be promoting this. People are giving the money for it. What's in this box? What's in the box? Nothing that's the people are buying was in the box. We didn't know. But this goes back to the Medium article, Ian, about the debugging and about the sandbox. Atari writes, the team writes, which is 3 people.
Yes.
This is probably a good time to remind Ian to go back.
Yes, there it is.
Of the participatory nature of their support. As we have stated before, the Atari VCS hardware that early backers receive will be 100% finished, but the software on these first units will be early access, exclusively available to our community. Atari will be counting on our many thousands of backers to help improve and enhance the VCS experience with all the great feedback and ideas we know they'll provide in advance of our retail launch in spring 2020. So, Ian, not only are you paying money for a console you may not get, but if you get it, guess what? Now you're going to be an unpaid beta tester.
Yes.
For them to get the software up and actually fucking running so that they can put it in the fucking Walgreens and put it in the Bed Bath & Beyonds in order to sell them to you.
They don't know what you want. They don't know what to do.
They don't know what they can produce.
Yeah.
They have no idea.
So I hope y'all enjoy, are like really excited about a lot of sandbox mode. Because that's what you're gonna get.
Oh no! And plus, you get the subscription you can buy.
You know, someone pointed out that and I thought so. That's not even out yet. Antstream's not even out yet in its normal form.
Sure.
So it's one Kickstarter promising stuff to another Kickstarter.
It's a house of crowdfunding, basically.
Yes.
A house of crowdfunding on itself. We hope you enjoyed this latest behind the scenes tour. We have more partnerships in the works and more new updates and announcements planned, and very much look forward to sharing more with you soon. This is silly at this point.
So despite what they're saying in the streaming, this article also says a little bit more. We now understand that the final console will not have its own Atari-flavored operating system, nor will it have an Atari store where you can buy and download games on your console, as is standard on games consoles.
What?
So this, I don't know where he got this info from, but
he's got the inside skin.
But what seems to be being said here is this whole Antstream thing seems to be there, put a Band-Aid over the fact that we never bothered to figure out how we were going to do our own online store.
Oh my God. Because there's 3 people working at the company, and they're outsourcing everything they did the hardware. Oh, here's a good one, Ian, with the Atari button. The new Atari controllers, which you have to pay extra for, may not work consistently across games. Each title, when running, can decide for itself how the machine operates. That means
it's a fucking Linux box.
That means you may need to reboot the system to exit a particular game rather than, say, press the Atari button on the controller. There is little in the way of standardization of the controls. The Biz has also failed. It gets worse. The Biz has also failed to reach an agreement with games engine makers Unity and Unreal, so the Atari VCS may not have the same level of acceleration and capabilities of other machines, such as the PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch. Oh my God. Or even media players like Fire OS.
Atari will not be able to build an ecosystem. This is from the article as well, and it really comes down to it.
It gets worse. It may not have, according to this reporting from Kieran, God, he got the skinny. It will not feature any native apps, and users will instead have to access services like Netflix or Hulu or Amazon through a modified Chromium-powered browser. Holy fucking shit.
So you won't be able to just turn it on and be like Hulu. You'll have to actually log into Hulu through a web browser.
This is like the fucking Wii internet. This is like internet from 2005-06 on these consoles. Holy shit. It's worse. Let's see. The 4 gig edition cut down will be available only through Walmart, as we understand, as a direct result of Walmart insisting of having a product that came under $250 price point. So Walmart wants to carry, if they want to carry this, retailers can say, we want to carry this like Costco, it has to be a certain price. They say, yeah, we can do it, but it will be the shittier version with only 4 gig of RAM. Oh my God.
All right, well, let's hit him with let's read a summary.
Read the summary, Ian. Hit us with the points.
All right, so here's the summary.
Holy shit.
The Atari VCS will be extremely limited as a console. It is effectively a $250 PC in a nice-looking retro box, which we've been saying since
Forever.
day fucking one. Atari's main architect has quit, claiming he has not been paid in months. Penny pinching throughout the development process has resulted in a range of bad decisions that effectively prevents the Atari VCS from calling itself a dedicated games console. I swear they stopped trying to do that like a year ago. No original game developers have signed up to the Atari VCS 2 years after launch. There will be no native apps. The Atari VCS is unlikely to hit its March 2020 deadline and may in fact never launch. I still think Hubris will get...
You still think it'll come out?
I still think that we'll get
Something. It would be a fucking disaster, though, at this point.
Well, actually...
It'll be Sandbox VCS.
No, and I have to I'm sorry, I'm getting things confused now. And this is not to bring it back up, and I don't want to discuss it even further. I think the Intellivision will come out, and it will be a flop. I don't, at this point, necessarily think the Atari VCS is coming out. And if it does...
Okay, so last week you thought it was going to come out. Now you've already...
Well, I think...
I was more bearish on this coming out.
I mean, they've got the board. I have a feeling that these people are going to panic until they shove something out the door, but it's going to be absolute nonsense.
Okay.
It's not going to be anything.
If this launches, I still think... Okay, you still think it's going to launch. You said last week. I was sort of hedging my bets. I think they have to launch something, but this is going to be a fucking disaster.
I think it's closer to not coming out now that I've read this.
They're going to try to get to the point where they can get to the point where Walmart will unfortunately be in a wholesaling mode to buy this piece of shit where it'll sit on shelves. That's where which is going to be the same thing with the Amico. Get it out so that Bed Bath & Beyond and Walgreens will stock it and no one will buy it. But as long as you get to that point, guess what? We made our money because we sold it to the wholesalers. Get to the wholesale market. Get there and at least we'll have our money from them, even though the consumers will never purchase it. That's what Atari's banking on you. So this guy can pay himself $1 million a year still, but before it goes belly up, and someone else buys the Atari license. You want to buy the Atari license? I don't think we could do worse with it.
No.
Holy crap. Stick with asteroids at Denny's. Oh, I forgot to mention that it's $50 for that joystick. Do we mention that again? $50 for that fucking joystick.
Great.
For that one button joystick. All right, Kieran. God, Kieran's getting a whole sandwich. He's getting fish and chips and whatever else. And here's the bad thing. We'll finish on this point. Once a project goes bad like this, as it had with the Chameleon Retro VGS, the people involved will speak out about it. And you'll find out more and more bad stuff that will help submarine the chances of being a success, as we're seeing right now. More and more of these sources say people that have been paid for 6 goddamn months will be more than glad to say, you know what? Fuck this person and this project that they've had us work on. We're going to tell you the truth about it.
Yeah.
And this is just the beginning of this. This isn't the end of this. And this might happen for future consoles as well. Oh boy, that's going to be a great day if that happens. All right, Ian, is that it on the Atari VCS?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, so my percentage of this coming out, I think I'm 50-50 on this coming out. But if it reaches the backers, I don't think they're going to be pleased with this.
No, they're not going to be happy. No one's going to be happy. It coming out and people being happy are not the same thing. I think they'll fucking shit something into a box.
And they'll do a medium update about that.
Mm-hmm. About the box. And they'll talk about the dimensions of the box. They'll talk about the thickness of the cardboard. They'll talk about the gloss level on the box.
All right. Moving on.